Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start this morning on a very sad note. I'd like to ask for a minute's silence in respect of a tragic event that happened at 4:20 this morning. And the whole English nation learned it's not coming home. It isn't. Anyway, let's move on. It's great to be here, and it's great to talk about digital transformation. Now, I run the enterprise sales and the emerging products group, which you put them together, that really is going into the biggest customers and talking about what we can do to take them on their journey. And when I look at my 10 years in Red Hat, and when I started, we were effectively in the bowels of the data center, hoovering up Linux sprawl, and we bought a middleware company and we didn't know what to do with it. To today, when we are literally talking to CIOs, CTOs about the journey they're going to make in the next 5 years and how we can be a big part of it, it is such a radical transformation. And when we look at this, it's everywhere. You'll see some quotes up there. It's in the boardrooms, it's in the World Economic Forum. Everybody's involved with this. And the nice thing is it's going to generate some business, that's for sure. It already is, and has been doing for some years. But Sandra from IDC pointed out that we're probably only about 30% of the way through this. And a lot of the companies have actually got blockers in place that we can help unfreeze. And I spent some time yesterday at the India dinner. Where's the Indian guys? Oh, there you are. My God, you guys can party. And I was talking to Rao and Gautam from, Anant and Gautam from Infosys about what they're doing in transformation. They're building open source practices. And Sundil from Capiot, where's Sundil? Came up with a great quote. We are betting our souls on digital transformation. Small company investing in OpenShift, putting that at the front end of their whole sales journey. They're betting the company that they can be part of this big journey. And I think we all can. And why do I think that? Here's some interesting numbers. One of those quotes said 2.4 trillion was going to be spent on new technologies per year globally. And I thought, well, take an average of 15% for APAC's investment. You're talking about 432 billion being spent a year around the whole of APAC on technology change, whether it's in a telco, in an insurance company, a bank, a government. This is an enormous amount of money. And it's being driven by this digital transformation stuff. So when you look at it, it's actually difficult to get your arms around this. And we've looked at it, and if you look at every single one of these verticals, and these are just the verticals I chose, there's dozens of different areas where digital transformation is being applied. Now, I talked yesterday about our journey in the finance vertical. We also have a telco and media vertical, and we have a digital transformation expert, Dave from STC, who's going to join us to talk about transformation in the telco side. But that area is, again, an area where billions are going to be invested in transforming the networks to the edge so that we can do new and great things with IoT. Because that will then serve all the other verticals that want to do magic things in transport, utilities, autonomous, cars, government, digital citizenship, smart cities, you name it. This is a whole new world. If we thought Y2K was going to be big, this is a whole new ballgame. And the good news is, within most of our customers, this is a journey. It's not a single, let's do a digital mobile app. If we go back 2 or 3 years, it was all about getting your first mobile app out there. And being able to connect to your customers. In some cases, the mobile app actually went to a manual back end and it was dealt with. But most of it was trying to get to the customer in a new way. And then it revealed a lot of challenges that you would have to deal with. And I think Sandra put it in a great way that she said, you have to build a platform. I have another word for it. It's digital DNA. If you have to put the digital DNA in place to become a digital native. So where and how can our Red Hat partners play, and why is the guy who is in charge of the direct sales talking to you? Because it's not direct sales, it's direct touch. 70 to 75% of our enterprise business goes through and with partners. And I think that share will increase as we go more and more into these projects. I think the areas we can really work together is, firstly, the reach of Red Hat and its partners, our ability to find these projects and position the technologies and services we can place against these for the customers and show where we can do this kind of transformation is going to be critical. So first we have to find them. We've got loads of Red Hat products and reference sites that we can bring to bear because customers never want to be the absolute first unless they really have courage and visionaries as part of their leadership team. Normally they want to be the early majority, so someone else has taken the, I guess, the bleeding edge, and they want to be now on the leading edge. There's also the ability to scale and repeat this in an industry. So where we work with partners who build repeatable assets, like Sol from Deloitte, showed that they've built a platform that they can take almost anywhere for the digital natives, but they've built that as a repeatable asset and repeatable skill set. They can focus that into a vertical and build, again, more and more momentum in that area. But again, it's starting to build repeatable assets, repeatable skill sets, the ability to take these projects on. And then when we put ourselves together, it's very much about the common skill sets. We have certain skills and in-depth knowledge of our products, the ability to, if anything breaks, we can fix it. We have thousands of engineers stabilizing and maintaining the technology. That means you don't have to do that. You just have to focus on the end result for the customer. So between us, we make a great team. Now, when we go and talk to a CIO, they typically have the usual dilemma. They have resources, time, they've got some budgets, and 70% of those budgets typically keeping the lights on. They are trying desperately to push those budgets down. And if you look at Red Hat a few years ago, you'll find most of our time was spent in the data center addressing that 70% because those lights-on budgets were funding a lot of the renewals and what I would call the renewals plus growth, where people were building a bit more Linux into their platforms. But it's in this blue area that the innovation budgets are being spent. This is the transformation projects. These are very often line of business budget holders feeding big data projects, mobility projects, transformations of their line of business to be able to do things differently. So if I take Aviva, build a whole new agent platform for their sales team, that's a sales business outcome for a digital transformation. And that's where those budgets come from. And those are the budgets that are free and available to win. A lot of the what I would call the lights-on budgets are locked into existing vendors, existing maintenance and staffing. So our real game is to win more and more of those blue budgets. Here's the good news. My God, we've got a lot of products now. And they're all built into a position where we can take the customer and position an architecture, a digital DNA, which they can use to power their next generation digital enterprise. Now again, with a portfolio of products like that, I know what it's like to go into a CX office and talk product. The first thing they look at is their shoes. The second thing they look at is the door, wondering which one can get out of it first. You or them. So we have to work out how we can take this huge portfolio of products, extremely powerful, extremely successful brand, great products, super stable, enterprise class, and position this in terms of the digital DNA and the journey. And we've put this digital transformation at the top here. On the basis, this is the destination, the ability to be this digital native. If you look at the competition coming into all our large customers, it's coming in from the edges. It's people who get the credit card out and start with a server on Amazon or Microsoft and start building. Well, the first thing is they're agile. Second thing is they're cloud-based. Third thing, they can scale in a heartbeat, just need a bigger credit card. Now, what do they do next? They start to integrate with services that are not built by them. Software in the cloud that they will connect to through APIs and start to build these applications. We used to call it mashups, but now that is becoming a core skill in digital transformation. The ability to create this connected application environment, whether it's internal applications, new applications you develop, external sources of data or functionality, link it all together and create some new digital service. a digital product. That is the essence of this digital transformation. So how can we take that to a customer and break it down into areas that we can create business? Now, when you look at anything, it's a case of if it's a journey, it's a stop by stop. How do you eat a whale, bite by bite? How do we define this journey in terms of the bites we think a customer is going to take on this whole whale of a journey? Well, the first thing is they're going to be looking at what do I have to do with people, what do I have to do with process, and how do I build the right architecture? If they're not thinking architecture that's going to support this for 3, 5, 10 years, they're really just thinking a tactical product or project. And even if they are thinking of a tactical project, if you can tell them that tactical project can actually take them further on the journey towards that architecture, because by doing that they will learn, they will find out what happens in that journey, and they can test technologies that can go into that architecture for the future. And it's a great way of positioning the journey, but also the people and the process part, how can we help them? And then that's an area that we've invested heavily in. Then if we look at the areas this journey will take, and this is part of how we're building the support for you in the open platform, which is how do we help you address the problems the customer finds in these, I think it's 5 boxes. You take the 5 boxes. Firstly, almost everybody has some kind of a mess in their IT. They've got legacy systems they've inherited. You've had multiple acquisitions with different platforms, siloed applications. They need to start optimizing it. Some people are fully optimized. They're really clean, squeaky clean in terms of efficiency. Some people are still in a position where they may have to have standard operating environments, standard management platform, put automation in and start to clean up and have a super efficient platform with the latest technologies just to start to get cloud ready. The second thing is, it may be the second or third thing, just depends which part, how they want to break this journey up, is they've got to be looking at an agile integration environment. And what do I mean by that? Typically, customers have big legacy systems in their data centers. They run the business on these. They're called systems of record. And typically, the new applications will want to access these and access other systems and partner systems and potentially future service systems that they want to provide different functionality from or for. So you've got to build an application integration strategy that you can expand from, reuse, and that is an area you need to pay a lot of attention to, because if you get that right, building new services, integrating new partners, customers, suppliers, integrating new data services, new functionality from the cloud is going to be a lot easier. Get it wrong, it's going to be spaghetti. Then you've got to look at how do I build a hybrid cloud infrastructure. You can do these at the same time, but typically it will be different departments looking at it. It will be different projects. Get them related to an architecture, you get the journey. So you start to look at the hybrid cloud, and I think Frank showed yesterday why this transition from potentially the old legacy VMware virtualized architecture to a complete OpenStack, OpenShift, multi-cloud environment is going to be the hybrid cloud architecture for the future. Now you start to build a capability to run applications anywhere, scale them, connect them, and you're starting to get towards digital native. Third thing is cloud native app dev. This is either taking your applications and connecting to them, using business rules, business process, having applications that will run in and out of the cloud and in containers so that you literally can scale them, redeploy them, move them into a completely international environment, move them into a new cloud where you're going to set up business and you don't have a data center. This is the kind of application of the future that will need to be built. And finally, automation and management. How are you going to make this a single pane of glass, repeatable, scalable, so press button you can build literally a data center? An example of this would be Amadeus. I saw a presentation from Amadeus, the big travel company. They moved from mainframes to OpenShift. Now that's a big leap. But when they deployed an application in the field, it used to take them a year to set it up in a new country. They'd have to buy the data center space, buy the equipment, schedule it, install it, spin it up, put the application on top, commission it. They started to build containerized applications. They now spin up OpenShift in the local cloud provider that is certified for Red Hat. They then put their application on top of it. They're ready to go in 12 minutes. 1 year, 12 minutes. It's a pretty big change. Now, in terms of business agility, if they take a big contract from, say, a hotel chain to put their entire reservation system together in a new country, they can take their white label software and brand it, and once they finish the branding, 12 minutes later, they could have it deployed. That's scary in terms of speed. That's the way the business is today. And when we look at this kind of architecture, the thing you need is to make sure that you've got the capability to take developers and give them access to all of this technology, but have a layer of security and take this innovation from open source and continue to deliver it into this architecture so that this architecture keeps pace with the changes in open source and is secure and safe to use in an enterprise type environment. So we start the culture shift to become a digital native. What we have found with many customers is that they are a little bit frightened of this journey. You know, they don't think they've quite got the culture. And you, I hope, attended sessions on Open Innovation Labs, but we've taken the concept of people, process, technology, and taken it to the customer and taken teams in so that we can help them build this multi-department, multi-function application development environment with experts from different parts of the company, building solutions, minimum viable product, rapid iteration to finished product. An example I think you've probably heard is Heritage Bank, where this is a bank in Australia. They literally were doing about 50K a year with us. And we took this to their management team, and they said, that's just what we want. They spent, I think it's a couple of $100K, and then within weeks, they were starting to come back, can you train more and more people? And the CEO is just astounded at what this has done to his internal culture of moving his business forward. They've taken the process, the people, the CI/CD, the push-button architecture, and seen where this can take them. So now they're building their digital DNA underneath the people DNA. And again, with Open Innovation Labs, we're very happy to work with the partners to invest in this as part of the customer journey, because when the customers start the journey with you, they'll probably stay on the journey with you. When we look at these boxes, one of the things we've tried to do is take these technologies, these products, and start to make them relate to the customer problem we're trying to solve. Now, if you saw Jean Pong's presentation from yesterday, she showed how we had taken the technologies and the training material, and literally in each of these boxes, we've tried to give you plenty of use cases on the problems that you can address and solve with the customer. So you take Agile integration, there's API management, there's building an integrated bus and environment for programmers in a container-based environment to link their applications in the cloud and their core applications together. This is the kind of thing that you will have to do as part of this journey. So we're trying to break the journey up into even smaller pieces. But these pieces, if you position them correctly to the customer, are part of a long-term journey. They're an investment. They're not just a cost of fixing a problem. They're an investment towards digital DNA for the future. And again, when you're talking digital transformation, you tend to be talking at an executive level with a 3 to 5 year horizon in mind, not how do I test this product and see what the features are. And this is the journey that we've moved our own teams to, because this is now a different kind of Red Hat. We've also taken the sales and marketing framework, all the tool sets, the reference studies, and not only have we dropped them into these problem areas that we solve and how this relates to the journey, but we've also started to verticalize them in terms of public sector, in terms of finance, in terms of telco. So we make them much more relative to the business with the right taxonomy and the right capability to engage with the customer in terms they understand and solving the problems they're grappling with every day. And what we're seeing is a much better fit between talking about solving the problem and showing how multiple pieces of technology, the services, our partners and ourselves can bring to this, and other third-party technologies can position to solve a problem and give a return on investment. The sales process is a journey too. And it's a very important journey to get right. Again, one of the things we had as a great platform in Red Hat was our renewals business. We would go in, we'd talk to the data center people. Every quarter, we would make sure everything's happy. They're happy with the service. They're using some more. We would do true-ups, and then we'd come to the renewals. And if they were happy, generally 90% of the people would completely renew, and typically our big customers tend to renew consistently, sometimes even for 3 to 5 years. That journey is easy. As long as you keep the customer happy, we continue to get repeat business. And when that's through the partners, that's a repeat business stream for you. But with new projects, it's different. You're hunting for these. You're talking to chief digital officers, chief innovation officers, people in charge of mobility. You're talking to the integration framework team. If you've been in the data center selling Linux, these are aliens. So you have to learn new languages, new solutions. And you have to have some really good technical experts with you who understand the application of technology to the problem. So it's not just your salespeople who need to be trained on this, it's your technical teams need to be able to provide the backup, because your salespeople need to understand the journey, and you as an executive need to understand the journey and be able to show how this relates. But when you come to the rubber hitting the road, you need strong technologists, pre-sales people, post-sales people to frame everything as a project. The next thing is qualifying. Many people have digital transformation as a science project in the back room without a budget, with people playing with technology. And I don't know about you, but none of us have time to waste these days, because time is money and we can only invest it in so many projects. So the ability to take a look and say, is this really a project? And if it's not really a project, fully budgeted, got a name, got a timeline, got a sponsor, could it become a project? Because if it can become a project, maybe you should invest and actually help it become a project. If it really just looks like it's a backroom science project, then maybe just leave it alone and wait for a little more maturity. But that qualification process allows you to spend your time on where the return will be highest. And we are really enforcing a rigorous approach to qualifying it. Is it a project? And can we apply our technologies and skills and our partner skills to this, and can we win? Which is all about politics. Now, the next thing, which is really, really, really important, and we really emphasize this, and to our partners, before you pile into a proof of concept or a technology, look, see, really sit down with the customer and do what we call a discovery session. It's literally taking the top people from the customer who understand the journey they're trying to make, the technology they have in, the problems they're facing, and take your people in, technologists, project managers, and sit them in a room and literally look at what they're trying to achieve and whiteboard the journey, get out the facts so that you can frame a proposal to solve the problem. Because the first thing you might get is someone comes to you and wants to see OpenStack. Why do you want to see OpenStack? Because we've decided it's the right thing. To do what specifically? Virtualization. And what are you trying to achieve here? Okay, you're not going to get much further if they typically want to do a look-see at a product. You've got to take it up several levels. The discovery workshop is a great way of doing that. It's in the customer's interest too, because they learn things they don't know when you put experts in the room with them. Then you get the opportunity from the discovery workshop, make a proposal, and then we shouldn't go to a proof of concept. We should go to a pilot, because people are prepared to invest in a pilot, but proof of concept, they see the vendor should supply free. Pilot is a different way of framing that if we do this, this can be expanded to a full rollout. So the pilot becomes an asset, an investment. And finally, if you do well on all of these, you get the tick in the box to proceed. And it is really important you look at the stages of this as partners, because that's going to make you much more successful. Spend the time on the right projects, the well-qualified projects. You have more resource to apply where you can win. Is it worth it? We have built a pipeline of 650 transformation projects in the last year. It's worth roughly to Red Hat about 150 million, 154 million. On top of that, there are partner services, third-party products that will probably multiply that by 2 or 3. And we've only really just started the ability to track these transformation projects and show that we're actually getting to these new budgets, getting to the innovation budgets, and being able to take each of these individual transformation projects and make sure the customer realizes this can be part of a whole journey. So you don't just win one, you win 5 over a period of 2 to 3 years. Now, the biggest new transformation project was actually 150 million for a partner. Actually, this was last year's biggest transformation project. It was worth a couple of million to us, but you can see the ratio. This was a government-scale transformation. The year before that, there was a 350 million transformation project won by one of our system integrator partners. I think we saw about 3 or 4% of that, but that is the scale of these kinds of businesses and how they can get to it. It's either government level, it's at major corporation level, local corporation level, but again, it's on everybody's mind. How do I change my business to be more effective? I would strongly recommend that your salespeople, yourselves, your technical people, do some reading, and there's a great site. The Enterprise Project is actually it's a project we put together at Red Hat, and it's a forum where CIOs share lots of things about their journey. There's a huge amount of data, stories, use cases. It's a whole network of white papers, things from Harvard. It's great. It's a great resource. So I strongly recommend that you look at that, because every time you go into a customer and talk about this journey, you're going to need stories, you're going to need references, you're going to need use cases, because they want to be confident that they too can do this journey. Now, many customers on this journey. I've got all the global customers here. There's many local customers. I could have another slide like that with just local customers from APAC on this journey, and almost always we have got a partner in that journey with us. DP mentioned Cathay Pacific yesterday. I think there's Bank of New Zealand on there. There's Amadeus is on there, but we have another organization in China called Travel Sky using OpenShift. Same approach, same technology, deploy in the cloud, scale hugely. Many different areas. Macquarie Bank in Australia built their entire future digital banking platform connected to the back ends, push-button automation. Great video on that as a use case. And many of the customers from APAC spoke at the Red Hat Summit this year. It was great to see that many APAC customers on the stage talking about their journey with Red Hat in this space. So, in terms of getting started, team up. I think this last week there has been an incredible story in Thailand of getting the children out of that cave. When you think about 12-year-old children doing a cave dive and coming out, you think, just not possible. But you put the right people together as a team, you can achieve the impossible. I strongly recommend you use Open to learn about the solution areas, to learn about the sales plays, learn about the discussions. We call it the sales conversation guide. Because when you start digital transformation, you talk about the people process platform, customer needs to know how you can help him solve the most immediate problem. And if you can link it to the journey, you've got more chance of getting the first project, and continuing to position the journey, you've got more chance of getting the journey. It's all about architecture. It's all about making sure every project gets another stage along that journey. Identify and align with customer change leaders. Almost all of these projects will have a customer change leader of some description. Some transformation projects are driven by end of life of technology. Some are driven by legal requirements. They have deadlines. They have compelling events. But the majority of these are basically chief executive decides, executive sponsor puts a roadmap together, held accountable for a timeline. They will want to meet that timeline. Do the discovery as a team with Red Hat. Get in the same room. We can do that together. We can bring some techniques and tools to those exercises. And when we've got the data we need, we know whether we're scoping a real project, and we know whether we can actually engage. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we do the discovery and it's just not us that's going to be able to solve this problem. But that's okay. We're not going to spend 6 months doing a proof of concept that will fail. And we're still helping the customer, so when we go back, they remember us. And then when we do find one, we take the discovery session in Cathay Pacific. 50K opportunity became, I think, 2.5 to 3 million, and now there's even further to go because there's such a trust build-up. And again, we had partners from India working with us on project management in there, and great teaming on that. They learned so much to apply in their projects too. One team, one plan to address the opportunity, and let's build some long-term capability. because this market is going to be the next 3 to 5 years. And we need to be able to scale and address it now. Thank you.